about tonight is jumpstart your job search. Whether you are in the middle of a job search that's just not going anywhere right now, or you're at the beginning of a job search that you don't know for sure how to get started, I'm going to offer a presentation that I think will help you to gain some clarity around the process of your job search. And that's my intention. This actually is a presentation that's designed for two groups of people: those who are just starting out and those who are in the midst of a job search that's gotten stuck. So as I said earlier, my name's Kitty Boitnott, and I'm your presenter for this evening. I'm it. So what I'm going to be doing is watching the chat box as I talk. And if you can toggle back and forth between the webinar Jam program and YouTube to ask questions, that's perfect. If not, then hold on till the end, and hopefully you'll be able to send me questions if you need to. My websites, in case you're not familiar with me or my work, I have two. One at kitty@careermakeover.coachesconsole.com and the other one at teachersintransition.com. And if you hear something that you think is tweetable tonight and you'd like to share it, I would love it if you would use hashtag JobSearchWithKittyBoitnott. That would be the hashtag for the evening. So let's get started. If you are in the right place, if the answer to any of these following questions is yes. A, are you ready to break out of your current job or career rut, but you need help because you don't know where to start? That's point A. And I'd love it if you can. If you can't because of the YouTube thing, if you can't respond to the question, that's fine. Thank you, Mary Coleman. I appreciate you telling me that you can hear me. I hope that means you can also see the screen. What I'm curious about is where you are individually in your job search. So are you ready to break out of your current job or career rut, but you need help because you don't know where to start? That's A. Or B, have you been unemployed or underemployed for a while and you're ready to make a move, but you feel stuck or your job search is not going anywhere? And C, this is the third category. Are you bored or maybe burnt out with your current job and ready to take charge of your career and your life once and for all? So depending on where you fit into the spectrum, A, B, or C, if you could let me know, that's great. If you can't, don't worry about it. I'm going to assume, by virtue of the fact that you're here, that you fall into one of those categories, that you're interested in this whole topic of job search for some reason. Either you're starting out and you just don't know where to start, or because it's, let's face it, it can be overwhelming. It can be very confusing. You will get all kinds of contradictory advice no matter where you go or who you talk to. And it can get to be a lot. And sometimes you just want to throw your hands up and say, heck with it, I'll just stay where I am. Now that works if you have a job, even if it's a job you hate. But if you're in transition and you're simply unemployed or underemployed and in a situation that's no longer tenable, that's not even an option. You need to figure out what to do to get yourself moved into your next great opportunity. Here's what I believe: that you are the architect of your life and your career, and that you get to decide. You do not have to feel like, and should not feel like, a victim of circumstance. So if you find yourself in the midst of some sort of transition, or you're currently stuck in a job that you no longer love, or a job that maybe you love. A lot of my teacher folks that I work with will tell me, I still love the kids. It's the rest of the job I can't stand. Wherever you may be, it does not serve you, your family, your friends, or anyone around you for you to be miserable in a job that you no longer feel like it serves you. And my job, my newfound mission, is to help people understand that they can create their own job, their own reality. And I don't mean like start your own business, even though that's a possibility. But I mean, as far as taking control of where you are career-wise, you have that power. And I want to give you tools tonight that may help you to embrace that. So one of the things that made me think about where I was in my own transition was back in 2013, as I was just beginning my own job search because I had left a job that was one that I had termed out of and it was no longer available to me. And for reasons that I don't need to go into tonight, I decided I just didn't have the energy or the stamina to go back into a classroom situation. So I was in the midst of my own career transition, trying to decide what would be next for me. And I went to a networking event where I heard a gentleman speak to a recently, at that time, a released poll by the Gallup people about the average American worker. And the average American worker said that they either hated their job or they were totally disengaged in their job. Up to 70% of Americans responded that they either hated their job or they were disengaged. A more recent survey says that worldwide, only 13% of the respondents say they love their job. So what about the 87% that's left? If you happen to be one of them, you know that you're unhappy, miserable, wanting to make a change, but maybe you don't know how to get started. Now, I don't know about you, but I just did not want to be a part of the group of people who would go around every day saying, I hate my job, I hate my job. I don't even want to be in a job where I feel bored or unchallenged. So I decided to go a different route. And I hired a career coach and I got myself unstuck and onto my current path. Here's what I believe with all of my heart. You just need to know how and where to start. And that's what I'm going to help you with tonight. I'm going to help you get unstuck. So for right now, I want you to take time out for this webinar. I'm going to talk fast. I want you to take notes. I want you to let me know if you have questions, either as we go or at the end. So make note of your questions in case you have to hold them till the end. But right now, turn off the phone, turn off the TV, turn off whatever other distractions there might be, and turn off your email. And I say that because I've been guilty myself of thinking that I can multitask and I can check my email while I listen out for the presentation. I mean, you know, how important could any of this be, right? I just signed up for it. But then I find myself getting distracted, pulled into the email or the whatever, and all of a sudden I hear the presenter say something that sounds like a real nugget, and I think, oh gosh, I missed it. What did she say? And now I'm going to have to go back and try to figure out where it is on the replay so I can figure out what it was. So just do yourself a favor, concentrate on this for right now, and I promise I'm going to make it worth your while. So what I'm going to do tonight is share with you 10 major considerations that I believe are key to any successful job search or career transition. And by that, I mean whether you're just starting out straight out of college, if you are a mid-career professional who's found yourself out of work because your company merged and your department was suddenly phased out, or your job was eliminated. That happens all the time. And through no wrong of your own, nothing you did wrong, you're out of work. And let's just be honest, job hunting has changed dramatically in the last 5 or 6 years. The average person who found a job 20 years ago has no clue how to begin a job search in today's environment. It isn't the same as it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you'd get a newspaper and you'd start going through the want ads. Or you might have a friend tell you that you should send them your resume and boom, next thing you know, you've got a job. It doesn't work like that anymore. Now, it is true that 80% of today's jobs are filled through referral as opposed to applications that you upload online, but it's still not a straightforward, simple task to find your next position. And if you really don't know what you're doing, you can waste all kinds of time, money, and energy trying to figure it out on your own. So how do I know what works? Well, I reinvented and retooled and made over my own career a little over 3 years ago. I was for over 30 years a teacher and librarian. Then I was president of the Virginia Education Association from 2008 to 2012. There's a picture of me at a press conference. When I finished that job, I was exhausted, and I had the option of going back to teaching, but as I said earlier, that just didn't feel like a real option for me. I was too tired, too worn out. I knew I didn't have the physical stamina, and more importantly, I didn't have the enthusiasm that I would need to go back to a middle school English teaching position, which is where I was headed if I didn't make some kind of a change. So I, as I said, in January of 2013, I decided that I needed to make some transition into some other line of work, and I started from scratch. Here I am, a little over 3.5 years later. I'm a certified life coach, stress management coach, and holistic wellness coach with training as a career transition and job search coach. As a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, an author of a published book, a professional speaker, and a regular contributor to careerism.com. Now, the reason I have an asterisk by careerism.com, I want you to write that down, and I want you to sign up for careerism.com because it's free. They are recently going through a little bit of a facelift, but basically what you will learn from your subscription with Careerism are specific job search related advice by somewhere between 15 and 20 on any given week, job search and career professional development experts. And they offer advice on how to present yourself confidently, how to work your social and social media brand and your LinkedIn brand, how to approach this entire prospect of job search. So do sign up, Careerism, and write it down because it's important that you have a subscription to that since it's free. And the advice is good. It's good stuff. So, as I said, I was trained by one of the best career coaches in the country, the owner of Career HMO and Careerism, JT O'Donnell. I worked with JT for 14 months from June of 2014 until last August. And I've been separate and on my own since August of 2015. I am a regular still contributor to Careerism, which is the sister company of Career HMO. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was named as one of the top 25 career coaches online. And I'm proud of that. And I think that that lends itself to some credibility that if you don't know me already and don't know anything about my work, perhaps that lends some validity to what I'm about to share with you tonight. So here's what I know for sure. Once you've decided on the focus and direction of your job search, the rest is pretty straightforward. I mean, it's kind of a recipe. What keeps people stuck and hung up is the focus and direction. Almost to the person, when I ask a new client, so what do you think you want to do next? They'll get this sort of bemused look on their face. They might roll their eyes at me and they shrug their shoulders and they go, I wish I knew. Maybe you can help me figure it out. which is what I do. I do help people figure it out. But this is something you need to really understand. Until you decide what you want, there's no resume on the planet that will help you get where you need to be next. And you get to decide. It's not, like I said, you are not a victim of circumstance. It's up to you to decide where you want to be in your career. What kind of work do you want to do? Where will you feel the most meaning? Like you're maybe even living out your purpose and passion. That's what I want for you. And it's what you should want for yourself. But nobody can decide that for you. You have to decide it first. And once you've made the decision, then you focus on that. Now, here's what the typical job search or job seeker will do, especially if they just found themselves without a job and they feel like, oh gosh, got to have a job. They'll start looking at the online postings, because now you can't go to the newspaper like you used to. So you sign up for an online jobs board, right? Monster, Indeed, The Ladders, Career Builder, you name them, they're out there. ZipRecruiter. And you see a few jobs. Oh, maybe I could do that. Oh yeah, I did that in my last job. Didn't really enjoy it, but I could do it again if I have to. And so you upload your resume that you either wrote on the fly or someone else wrote for you. There are lots of people out there who would love to separate you from your money so that you can pay them to write your resume for you. I don't recommend that. I made that mistake. I spent $395 on a resume that I've never used. And I don't think that's a good waste of your money, a good use of your money. It is a waste of your money, frankly. You should be the one who writes your resume, but you need to learn how to write the right kind of resume. And you can't do that until you've gained some focus around the type of job or the direction that you want to go in. And it's just that simple. So it may mean that you have to do some assessments or some reading, but you have to get real with yourself about what is it that you really want. Is it financial security? Do you need a hefty paycheck? Or is money less important than work-life balance? Or is what's even more important than money or work-life balance, is it that you want a job or a career that caters to your talents, your natural aptitude, your gifts and talents, and learning styles and work preferences, so that you don't feel like you're constantly swimming upstream. You're going with what you are good at. You know, we all have a need to be respected and to feel a part of a group, to sense some sense of predictability on a day-to-day basis. At the end of the day, we all need to be loved. We need to feel safe. And we need to have our physiological needs for shelter and food and warmth. And our job falls into that. Our job should meet some, if not all, of our human needs, especially the one where we yearn to be respected and validated and valued for the work that we offer and contribute. I had a client who got on paper the perfect job a few months ago, and she had to give it up because in that particular situation, she never could feel like she was part of the group. And in fact, they went out of their way to make fun of her, to play pranks on her, because you see, she was older and they were younger, and they thought making fun of an old, excuse my bluntness, but an old lady, they thought that was good sport. They were all in their 20s and 30s, and she was well into her upper 60s. She had more class in her little finger than I feel like the rest of them had in their collective bodies. But they treated her so badly that she would have to pray and brace herself before she could get out of her car to go into the building in the morning. And it finally got to be too much of a strain. You know, if you have to go to a counselor, a therapist, because you're being mistreated at work, that's a good sign it's time for you to find new work. And she did. But like I said, on paper, it was the perfect job for her. In reality, not so much. I know from my own personal experience that it really is a beautiful thing when your career and your passion can come together and you can combine them into something meaningful where you feel like you are living out your personal mission on the planet. So how do you decide what your direction is? Well, there are lots of books and online assessments like the Pathway Planner and others that are available to you. I would recommend that you investigate those. I often recommend for my clients that they do lots of reflection, meditation, even journaling. Making up for yourself, what would your ideal job look like? What would it feel like? How would you feel going in every day? How would you approach it? What would your contributions be? Write it out as specifically as you can. Let yourself just dream. Don't worry for now about the how. Just let yourself go and consider if you could have any job you wanted, what would it be? I do recommend that you use the career services of your college or university, if that's possible. And if all else fails, a career coach or an advisor can help you to gain clarity. Someone like me, or, I'm available. So once you've decided on your focus, the next step is writing a resume. And the resume should be tweaked for every single time that you apply for a particular job, because the resume should be in alignment with the job that you happen to be applying for in that particular instance. A one and done cookie cutter resume that doesn't really apply itself to the job at hand will not get you a call for an interview. Your resume needs to be a 60 to 70% match to the job description that you happen to be applying for. So don't make the mistake of thinking that you just need one resume that has everything in it that you've ever done, whether it's pertinent to the job description that you're applying for or not, because that kind of resume will not get looked at, will not get a second look at least. Then once you've written a resume that's pertinent to that job description, you also need to write a cover letter. The cover letter is something that a lot of people screw up, frankly. They don't pay attention to details like, to whom are you writing the letter? You need a name of a person, not dear sir or madam, or please don't write to whom it may concern. Today, there's no reason for you not to be able to find a hiring manager, a human resource director, a recruiter, someone, Mr. or Mrs. Smith, Jones, whatever, to write your letter to. Even if it's the wrong name, a name is better than no name. And send it to a specific address. If you have to, send it to the executive director or the owner, just so you have a name. But don't send it to who it concerns. That is not going to get your letter read. And also don't start it out with, please find and close my resume and my application for job number, and you'll find by looking at it that I have these skills, and then you end up regurgitating what's in your resume. If you're going to approach it that way, if you're not going to take the time to find the name of the person that you want to address the letter to, and you're not going to make it more personal to the job than please find and close my resume, don't bother. Don't even bother to write a cover letter, because it's not going to get read anyway. Now, does that mean you shouldn't write a cover letter? No, you should, but it should be written right. And more people than not mess that up. Now, one of the things that I learned when I was at Career HMO was the importance of writing a disruptive cover letter. That is one that will actually get read. And one of my clients, while I was still working with Career HMO, shared with us after he landed a job that he had gotten a note back from his hiring manager saying that his had been the best cover letter that the hiring manager had seen in over 30 years of dealing with job candidates. So we know that methodology works, and I still use it to this day. Consideration number 4, your resume and your cover letter have to be perfect. I cringe when I hear somebody say, oh, go ahead and just send it in. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yes, it needs to be perfect. Now, by perfect, I don't mean you can go back and you can tweak it here and there for changing a skill or a job experience and phrasing in a certain way. By perfect, I mean spelling, spacing, grammar, and punctuation. Any resume or cover letter that crosses someone's desk that has a spelling error, a spacing issue, a punctuation error, or a grammatical error, you can just kiss that job opportunity goodbye. I once heard a colleague of mine share with a group that he used to be an HR director, and he was charged with the job of eliminating as many candidates as possible, as quickly as possible. Now think about that. He was charged with the job of eliminating as many candidates as possible, as quickly as possible. And that meant if he had 200 candidates, he had to get it down to 10 as quickly as he could. And he would look for errors. And if a cover letter or a resume had an error in it, it went into the no pile automatically, no questions asked. He only kept the ones that had perfect resumes and perfect cover letters. So keep somebody on hand that can proofread for you every single time you send in a new application with your resume and your cover letter. You'll look at it so many times you'll think it looks perfect, but somebody else will take a look and go, oh, wait, here's a spacing issue. You need to fix that. So do yourself a favor, get someone to help you with that. Consideration number 5, and frankly, a lot of job seekers don't know about this, and I didn't know about it until I started working with Career HMO, the applicant tracking system. This is a software system that works on computers that helps to manage and sort the hundreds and sometimes thousands of job applications that come through any particular computer program for a large company on any given day. And the algorithms are set so that they pick up on keywords. They also pick up on other criteria that have been set for that particular job. And the computer takes care of it. And I've heard people say, I've heard recruiters like this guy say, oh, we love our applicant tracking system. Yeah, I bet they do, because it keeps them from going through all of these applications manually. The problem is that up until recently, the applicant tracking system was an old, aging, and clunky software program that hadn't been updated since the 1980s. Now, recently, when I was prepping for a resume workshop, I ran across an article that indicates that companies are beginning to update their applicant tracking systems, and that's good news. The not so good news is that they are becoming so sophisticated that they're, quote unquote, reading resumes very much like a human would read them. So you may run into a whole new set of problems, because the applicant tracking system is going to be reading buzzwords or keywords from your resume, but also looking for the context of how it was that you came about to have that particular skill. So it's maybe a mixed blessing. Consideration number 6, branding. Now, this is something, again, that a lot of mid-career professionals are not going to be as familiar with as perhaps some of the millennial folks. There are 2 types of brands that you need to be worried about or concerned about, maybe not so much worried, but to care about. And the whole idea of your being a brand came from a not so recent article from Tom Peters in, I think it was Inc. magazine, maybe, and it was entitled You Inc. And his point was that just like we have brands in the rest of our lives, like Google, Amazon, Coca-Cola, Panera, we have certain messaging that instantly comes to mind when we hear the names of those companies, right? That the same thing happens when someone hears your name. And you are responsible for creating your brand. Your personal brand is the brand that you show up with in person when you go to a networking event, as well as your professional brand, how you conduct yourself on the job and in your job search. So branding is particularly important and something, again, that I think not enough mid-career professionals are even aware of, much less pay enough attention to. So you need to think in terms of, and you need to create if you haven't been working on it. Here's the fact. You already have a brand, but you may need to do some cleaning up of it, and you may need to take time to think about how you want to rebrand yourself if necessary. Then there's social media, including LinkedIn, that you need to be familiar with. Now, I've made myself into something of a LinkedIn expert, and I do workshops and webinars on just the topic of LinkedIn and how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. It's also important, though, that you pay attention to your social media footprint beyond LinkedIn, including how you show up on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Google and all these other platforms. So you want to make sure, especially if you're job searching, that you clean up your Facebook and Twitter, take out it, and I cannot stress this enough. If you're in job seeking mode, take off any and all references to religion and politics on Facebook and Twitter. Now, you can set your privacy settings so that only your friends and family can see your Facebook page, but don't kid yourself that if an energetic and even halfway knowledgeable hiring manager is interested in you as a potential candidate, they will find a way to find you on Facebook so that they can determine who you really are, not just who you present yourself to be on LinkedIn. Employers expect to see the good stuff on LinkedIn. They will look for the real stuff on Facebook and Twitter. So just be mindful. If you need to be cleaning up any of your social media footprint, do that. Make it squeaky clean so that whatever they find, they won't be turned off by. Then this is another thing that a lot of new job seekers don't get, that you have to get out of the house and you have to be willing to network. Network, network, network. You need to go to conferences. You need to go to conventions. You need to go to after work networking events, meetups, wherever people who are in your industry or career program, the type of career that you want to be in, that's where you want to go hang out so you can meet those people and you can learn from them where the job trends are, where the job openings are, and perhaps, who knows, you might meet up with someone who's in a position to say, oh, you're looking for a job at such and such a corporation. I have a sister-in-law who works there. Give me your resume and I'll see what I can do. I mean, That happens all the time. That's part of that 80% of job referrals that gets made that leads to a job being landed, as opposed to a cold application that may or may not ever make it through the applicant tracking system. So you need to get out and network, and also use your LinkedIn network as well. And if you don't know enough about LinkedIn, learn and let me know. I've got a free resource for you if you'd be interested in watching that. In fact, it's on my LinkedIn page. It's a replay of a UVA Friday forum presentation that I did last spring on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. So take a look at that if you think you need to work on your LinkedIn profile. And then finally, consideration number 10, you need to be able to interview like a pro. You're going to be up against a lot of stiff competition. People of all ages, people from all, maybe even from all over the world, people with all levels of skill and expertise. And if you screw up your interview, even though you've gotten that far, then you have to start all over looking from scratch. And so you need to try to clinch it at the interview if you can. That means being confident, means showing up looking the part. It means having good eye contact and being able to speak to your resume with clarity and understanding of the job description, and being able to ask excellent questions. All of those are parts of a good interview. And then here's a bonus consideration. You need to have a good attitude. And that may be the hardest one of all. You know, job search is not an easy process. It just isn't. But you have to adopt a positive attitude, because a negative attitude will sink you before you've even gotten started. You have to overcome feeling rejected time after time. That's part of the deal. The more times you apply, the more times you're going to be rejected until you finally land the right spot. And it's hard. It's tough. You need to practice persistence and patience, which is not just your ability to wait, but your ability to wait while having a good attitude. And you cannot let yourself succumb to panic. I know a few months ago, I was familiar with a gentleman who had been out of work for a while. I'm pretty sure his severance was about to run out. And the closer he got to that, the more panicked he got, the more frenetic he got, the more all over the place he got. And it became apparent that he was in panic mode. And panic is a repellent. It's not an attractor. You want to attract your next job to you. If you're in a panic mode, you're simply going to repel it or turn it away from you. So don't let yourself panic. Now, I know that that's all a lot to juggle. And sometimes it's more than you think you can do on your own. There's the resume, the research, there's preparation for the interview, applications galore, salary negotiation, how to follow up, how to take care of an offer. But you cannot ever let yourself give up, because it's your life we're talking about. It's your career. It's your livelihood. It's the way you're going to make a living. And frankly, it will impact the rest of your life, your family, your friends, your ability to support your family. There's too much at stake for you to give up. So you have to figure it all out. Now, here's what I know based on working with hundreds of clients over the course of the last few years. For some people, it may not be something that you're able or even want to do alone. It's too hard. It's too cumbersome. There are too many moving parts. And if you get one part right and get all the rest of them wrong, you still wind up wasting time, money, and energy, going down the wrong path, pursuing the wrong job opportunities, or pursuing the right opportunity but screwing up because you didn't know how to prepare for an interview properly. So if you are worried that you might need some help, that's where I come in. And I do have a program, and I'd like to tell you just a little bit about it tonight. I don't want you to feel obligated to purchase it in any way, shape, or form. I want to share with you what it is. It may not be right for you now, but it may be something that would be something you'd want to consider for later. So if you'll hang with me for just a few more minutes, then I'll take some questions. Here's my job search, Jumpstart Your Job Search program. I've just recently revamped it, and I'm offering more value and more time for a little more money, but I want you to note that this is a $3,650 value that I usually charge $750 for. And today, if you're interested in getting a savings, I'm only charging $675 just for the next 24 hours. So you would save $2,975, almost $3,000 over the value versus the cost. Now, I do also offer, after tomorrow, the price goes back to the regular $750, or if that's too stiff for your current pocketbook, I'm offering it for $75 a month for 12 months, or a total of $900. But now here's what you get, and this is the link at the bottom of the screen is the link to the sales page in case you want to jot that down to hold on to for later. Here's what's involved. It's an online learning, self-paced program. It includes 11 modules based on pretty much what we've talked about tonight. So lesson number 1 covers your number 1 challenge as a job seeker, and it includes a video along with recommended reading, recommended assessments, both free and paid if you're interested in paying for an assessment that might help you find the direction that you're interested in. Recommended activities including the reflection, meditation, discussion forum, discover forum. Lesson number 2 is another video with recommended reading and the discover forum about gaining clarity around what it is you want in your next career. It's more. I sort of double down on the importance of gaining that clarity and focus, because I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to figure that part out first. And you may not know, you may really not have a clue, and you need someone like me to help you figure it out. I've got a client right now, he's in the midst of perhaps reinventing his entire career. And we're working on it one stage at a time. And he's making progress because he's got someone to talk through his ideas with. Lesson 3, a video tutorial on how to write a resume along with resume do's and don'ts and free templates and examples. Lesson 4, video tutorial about the importance of writing an effective cover letter with a template included. Lesson number 5, what you need to know beyond what I shared with you tonight about the applicant tracking system. I share that in a video. Another video in lesson 6 on how to create a personal brand that helps you find your next great opportunity. Lesson 7, several video tutorials on how to optimize your LinkedIn profile. Lesson 8, a video on how to research and market, including an example. By research and market, I mean researching the companies that you want to work for and figuring out a plan for how to get there. Lesson 9, social media and professional branding, a video about all of that. And lesson 10, an interview preparation video. There's an extra bonus currently an article, maybe a few articles on the topic of patience, persistence, and a word about panic. And a bonus for tonight only called Courage, Risks, and Rewards, a self-directed 5-module program that assists the participant in helping identify risks and rewards of making certain changes in your life. It can be applicable to other changes besides career changes. It's a $300 value. Module number 1 talks about taking a chance and making a mistake. Module number 2 is about your attitude toward taking chances. Module number 3 is why we avoid taking chances. Module number 4 is what supports risk-taking. And number 5, review and lock it in. And I believe this particular program could work well in conjunction with the Jumpstart, your job search program, because as you are considering undertaking a major career change, you may need to take a look at what are the risks and benefits and what kind of courage do you need in order to make that change. So that's a $300 value that's incorporated in with the value that I talked about earlier. This program includes unlimited email support that includes your sending me as many questions, potential job postings, resumes, and cover letters as you need to or want to, along with a video LinkedIn review and recommendations once you've been through the LinkedIn module and you want me to take a look. You may email as often as you need, and I'll respond within 48 hours, except on weekends. It also includes, and this is a new feature that I've added just recently, 6 phone consultations scheduled during the 90-day period for the purpose of coaching, support, interview, practice, and prep, or just whatever you need. We'll schedule them as you need them, and you can use them as you need them from the beginning through the end of the program. All of the content is available 24/7 for you to review anytime you want or need, and you have lifetime access to the modules. So even after the 90 days of email and coaching support go away, you have access to the modules. I don't know why that keeps coming up. Bonuses that are added later will automatically be yours. So you'll have lifetime access, and everything will be delivered digitally. You will be able to access it online with a username and password. Once you've made your payment, you are in and you have immediate access. It's also available for you to view on any of your platforms, desktop, iPad, lapbook, or iPhone or smartphone. I'm offering a private Facebook group for support. Right now, I only have a few people in there, but I'll be adding you and others as we move along. And there's a 90-day, and get this, a 90-day money-back guarantee. So that if you work your way through the program and give it the full 90 days, and you've done all of the assignments and you followed all of the directions and recommendations, and you can tell me honestly that you didn't learn anything new about the job search process, I'll give you all of your money back. You just need to tell me what didn't work for you so that I can fix it for the next person. I have to tell you though, so far nobody's asked for their money back. Now, here's just an example of a testimonial. This was one of my first clients. In fact, she was my very first client. She found me on LinkedIn. She was a national board certified teacher. She found me because I was also national board certified, and we worked together. Now she's working toward her next career, and she's a doctoral student working on her PhD. This is another one of my clients who I worked with about a year ago. We started work in April of 2015, and we worked together. I actually rewrote his resume, and I rewrote his LinkedIn profile for him because he was working full-time and didn't have time and didn't want to fool with it. So he paid me extra to do that work for him. And in December, he wrote me to tell me that he was starting his new job at Google as the cybersecurity instructional specialist. He was going to be creating curriculum, teaching folks at Google about cybersecurity. So he's one of my big success stories, but there are plenty of others, and you can check all of that out on LinkedIn or on any of my websites to find other people who have worked with me with success. And my commitment to you is that I want you to be successful. And I want to help you save time, save money, save energy, because I know this program will help you do that. So if you are interested, there is the link right there. And at this point, if there are any questions, I will entertain them. So I'm going to switch back over here to the chat box. I